Topping the news at 5:30, Governor Kathy Hochul unveiled her $254 billion state budget. It includes inflation refund checks, a cell phone ban in schools, free school meals, bigger child tax credits, mental health action, free community college, and more.
Joining us now to break down some parts of the state budget is political analyst Jack O'Donnell. That is a long list that Kelsey just read, and there is a big asterisk or a big caveat, because while the state has come to a tentative agreement on the budget, this thing is nowhere near done. Where would you say this thing is in terms of its progress?
Well, it's a conceptual agreement,
okay,
right? So we are at the end of the end is what we're hearing out of Albany right now. The big picture, a lot of the policy stuff, which is really what held this up, the governor was pushing for things. You mentioned the bell-to-bell cell phones, stuff on incarcerated people, stuff on mental illness, discovery reform. She got most of that. But the details, the dollars, where they're going, and some agreements on those is still being worked out.
All right, very good. And we here in Buffalo are highly dependent, well, everyone across the state is, but especially the city of Buffalo, because they're facing a $70 million budget shortfall, and they're hoping to fill that gap, and they were hoping some things would be in the state budget, Scanlon's proposal at least. Where do we stand on that?
As far as I can tell, as of some senior sources in the State Senate Leader's office, in the Assembly Majority office, the Speaker's office, within the last hour, those things are still open, which means they're still being negotiated, which means we don't know yet.
Kathy Hochul on Friday addressed that. Instead, said the Majority Leader, Crystal Peoples-Stokes, is going to be negotiating that with her and with other leaders in Albany. Kathy Hochul said at that time, Crystal Peoples-Stokes wields a lot of power in this city. We know that because she's from here, of course, and she does Buffalo's bidding in Albany and Western New York's. How much power does she wield, and is she capable of getting something like this across the finish line?
Well, absolutely. The Majority Leader carries a lot of weight on everything that gets decided in Albany, and she has been pushing the bed tax, the parking thing. But you know, there are a lot of questions, and you need the Senate to agree with that. We have not heard anyone in the Senate stand up and advocate for those things. And to be frank, nothing to do with Buffalo. A lot of these hotel bed taxes, these sorts of things, are usually done in June in Albany.
Okay.
Let's talk about other things within the budget. Kind of what, in your mind, was a little surprising, or was there nothing really? I mean, we talked about the cell phone ban, the change in discovery laws. Was there anything of a shock to you?
No surprises yet, right? When you go a month late, a lot of this stuff is leaked out. We know what they're talking about. We know where they've been fighting. We know what the rub is. That said, there's often a few things buried in the details, and we just haven't seen any of the details. One budget bill passed originally, that's the debt service. There are 9 bills left to pass. We haven't seen any language on any of those 9, so a lot's still to happen.
The budget must be approved by June 15th is the drop-dead deadline, correct, at the state level for the budget? Is that right?
I'm not sure where June 15th comes from. April 1st was the day. And then they've been passing extenders. They're going to pass another extender that was introduced today that will go through May 1st. But we've had budgets in June, July, and August in the last 20 years.
So I'll ask you then, what is the benefit of Kathy Hochul and or Carl Hastie and Andrea Stewart-Cousins announcing a conceptual or a tentative agreement on the budget if they still have maybe a couple weeks worth of stuff to work out? Why not just wait until it's done?
Well, I think part of the idea is to make that week or those few weeks into 1 week, right? It is to really pressure people towards getting this done. We do have deadlines around school districts and other things, and I think people are getting tired of this. I think legislators and folks in the governor's executive chamber are getting tired of this. So I think this was we've come most of the way, and let's put pressure on everyone to get the rest of the way.
I mean, we've seen this the past couple of years, these extenders passed and passed. That impacts so many people. School districts are trying to put their budgets together. Cities are trying to put their budgets together and are, again, like Buffalo, waiting on maybe some things in the state. Is this something you foresee continuing down the road, or are lawmakers going to put their foot down and say, no, we need to figure this out much sooner next year?
Well, it's sort of a cycle like everything else in politics, right? There was a point where we were regularly doing budgets in June. The public got upset and got fed up, and elected officials lost their offices, right? There were people who got voted out as a result of that. That led to a push from the previous governor towards getting budgets on time as an example of making Albany work. Even by the end of his tenure, that had slipped, right? We had budgets that were late. But until there's an electoral consequence, until folks are losing their election or getting primaries or dealing with things as a result of that, nothing's going to change.
And at the very top of it is that all of it is very much political. Jack O'Donnell is the managing partner at O'Donnell & Associates. Jack, always good to talk to you.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Jack.